The crystal vase shattered across the marble floor, and Kendra Wallace didn't even blink. It was the third one this week. She stood on the middle rung of the ladder, phone pressed to her ear, her cold eyes scanning the chaos below. "I don't care what the board thinks, Caleb," she said, her voice sharp as glass. "The merger happens on my terms, or it doesn't happen at all." Below her, 5 daughters had turned the grand foyer into a battlefield. Amara, 8 years old, balanced on top of a Louis XVI table, wielding the remote control like a sword. The twins, Zuri and Nia, 7, were dueling with wooden spoons. Brielle, 5, sprayed clean water straight onto the white silk curtains. And Layla, 4, sat on the marble floor, hands full of chocolate, drawing circles on the pristine white wall. Nanny number 17 scrambled to pick things up, her hands trembling. "Mrs. Wallace, I can't work under these conditions. These children, they're monsters," Kendra finished for her, her tone icy. "I know. That's why I paid you $4,000 a week." She emphasized the words "paid you." "No amount of money," the woman began, but before she could finish, Brielle zoomed past on her electric bike, narrowly missing the nanny's ankle. "These children need more than a nanny. They need—" "Thank you for your input. Renee will prepare your check in the morning." The door slammed. Nanny number 17 was gone, just like the 16 before her. Kendra looked down at the wreckage. 2 years ago, her ex-husband Darius had left her, with 5 children, a hefty alimony settlement, and a 23-year-old assistant on his arm. Kendra had won the divorce, won custody, won everything, except control over her own children. She had built Mercer Capital from nothing into a billion-dollar empire. But these 5 small humans defeated her every single day. "Amara, get down from the chandelier." Right now, Amara, her face as sharp as her mother's, looked down. "Why? You're just going to hire another nanny who hates us anyway." The words hit deeper than Kendra wanted to admit. She glanced at her watch. 2:47. 13 minutes until her video call with Tokyo. "All of you, to your rooms. Now." She switched to her boardroom voice, the one that made even vice presidents swallow hard. The girls scattered like startled birds, but Amara stopped halfway up the stairs, turned back, and said, "You know what, Mom? We do all this because we want you to see us. Any version of us. Even the bad ones. Because, at least then, we're seen." She ran off before Kendra could respond. Her phone buzzed. Renee, her assistant. "The emergency cleaning crew just arrived. You said the house needs to be perfect for the investor dinner tomorrow. Let them in. And Renee, find nanny number 18 before Monday." "Kendra, we've called every agency in the state." They're starting to refuse. Kendra's jaw tightened. "Then look out of state. Just handle it." She stepped into her office, shutting the wooden door on both the noise and her emotions. Here, she was safe. Here, numbers made sense. Here, she didn't have to face the disappointment in her children's eyes. At exactly 3 o'clock, the meeting began. Kendra transformed. Warm voice, confident smile, impeccable composure. The investors from Tokyo could never have guessed that behind that perfect image was a house teetering on chaos. That was how Kendra survived. A flawless surface, a storm underneath, and a wall high enough that no one could see through it. 40 minutes later, the call ended. The house was unusually quiet. With 5 kids, silence was never a good sign. Kendra opened the door. In the foyer stood a stranger, surrounded by her daughters. He was about 6'1", with dark brown hair streaked with gray at the temples, and warm brown eyes creased with smile lines. He wore a navy blue uniform embroidered with Williams Cleaning Services. But it wasn't the man that made Kendra freeze. It was her children. All five sat still, listening intently as he spoke while working. The little dragon realized that fire wasn't meant to destroy. His deep, steady voice rumbled. It was meant to protect what it loved. Layla, the wild 4-year-old, was leaning against his leg, wide-eyed. The twins sat cross-legged, silent. Even Amara had lost her defiant look. The man looked up and straightened. "Mrs. Wallace, I'm Isaiah Williams. I came for the emergency cleanup. My apologies. Your children wanted to hear a story while I worked." Kendra found her voice, sharper than she intended. "And you think stopping work to entertain them is appropriate?" A flicker of sadness crossed Isaiah's eyes. "I didn't stop working, ma'am. I clean while I tell the story." Multitasking. He gestured toward the spotless floor where the broken vase had been. "Your children aren't a distraction. They're just lonely." The word lonely hung in the air, soft but damning. "Daddy does both," a small voice piped up. Kendra turned toward the corner. There, a 6-year-old girl with brown eyes and a radiant smile. "Daddy cleans and tells the best stories. That's why everyone likes him." "Zoe, remember," Isaiah said gently. "Indoor voice in someone else's home." She nodded and bent over her coloring book again. But the way Zoe looked at Kendra's children, open, kind, safe, made something tighten in Kendra's chest. When was the last time her kids looked at anyone like that? As if they trusted, as if they felt safe. "Mr. Williams," Kendra said softly now, her tone easing. "I'm sorry. Today's been difficult. Please, go on. The story's fine." Isaiah nodded, his gaze meeting hers briefly. And in that brief moment, Kendra saw what unsettled her most. He wasn't afraid of her, nor impressed by her wealth or status. He looked at her the way one might look at a tired parent, trying, but lost. Pity she could dismiss. Understanding was far more dangerous. "Will you finish the dragon story?" Amara asked, her voice smaller, uncertain. "Of course," he said gently. "The dragon still has much to learn about courage." Kendra closed the office door, her heart beating faster than it should. Through the wood, she heard it, the sound of her children laughing. Real laughter. When was the last time she'd heard that? When was the last time she had caused it? Out there, a stranger with kind eyes and calloused hands was doing what 17 nannies could not. And for the first time in 2 years, Kendra Wallace wondered if she had been fighting the wrong battle all along. If you enjoy stories of healing amid chaos, subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters. What do you think? How did Isaiah manage to see right through Kendra's children in just a few hours? And what was the dragon in his story really protecting? Kendra tried to focus on her emails, but her mind drifted like a sail without wind. Every time she stepped out of the office, whether to get water, check the thermostat, or simply decide if a few letters could wait until morning, she witnessed something she could hardly believe. Isaiah Williams was transforming her house. No, more precisely, he was transforming her daughters. By 5 o'clock that evening, the man had cleaned the entire first floor while keeping 5 girls both cheerful and well-behaved. Kendra stood at the kitchen doorway, watching Isaiah show Brielle how to fold napkins. Beside him, his daughter Zoe demonstrated each movement carefully. "My mother taught me this," Isaiah said in his deep, calm voice. "She said that caring for little things, even a napkin, is how you show respect. Not to the object, but to the person who will use it." "Did your mom teach you a lot?" Emma asked, curious in a way Kendra had never seen from her. "She sure did," Isaiah smiled. My mother was a housekeeper for 40 years, the best in Albuquerque. Everyone said so. She passed 3 years ago, but I still use her lessons every day. Our mom's always busy, Nia said bluntly, without hesitation. She has lots of important meetings. Isaiah didn't falter. Your mom must be very smart and strong to run such a big company. That takes a special kind of courage. Kendra felt heat rise in her cheeks. When was the last time anyone had defended her in front of her children? But she doesn't play with us, Amara cut in, her tone edged with bitterness. She's always in her office. Something cracked quietly inside Kendra's chest. She was about to step in when Isaiah gently raised a hand. "May I say something?" he asked. He glanced at Zoe, who nodded as if giving him permission. "Maya's mother once told me that love doesn't have just one form," he continued. "Some people show love by playing, and others by working hard to give the people they love a home, good food, and a good school. Both kinds of love are real, even if they look different." "But we want Mom to play with us," Layla said softly, her small voice trembling. "We want her to love us, the play kind of way." The words hit Kendra like a punch. She gripped the doorframe, suddenly unable to breathe. Isaiah met her eyes across the room. There was no judgment there, only deep sadness. The kind of sadness of someone who understood this feeling firsthand. And in that gaze, Kendra felt the most terrifying thing of all. She was being seen. Truly seen. "Sometimes," Isaiah continued, his tone gentle as wind, speaking to Layla but clearly also to Kendra, "adults forget how to play. They get scared or sad, and work feels safer than feelings. But that doesn't mean they don't love their kids. Sometimes it's because they love too much, so much that it hurts, and they just don't know what to do with that pain." Kendra turned away and hurried back to her office before anyone could see her tears. She shut the door, pressed both hands against her desk, and struggled to steady her breath. Who was this man? A cleaner, and yet he spoke of love and loss with such devastating understanding. That night, after Isaiah and Zoe left, Kendra stood outside her daughter's bedroom doors. The 5 girls were already in pajamas, ready for another ordinary night, a night without their mother. She knocked softly. "Girls, would you like to watch a movie with me? All of us?" The silence that followed was long enough to make her chest ache. Then Layla ran out and hugged Kendra's leg tightly, as if afraid she might change her mind. "Really, Mommy? You'll watch with us? No more work?" Kendra awkwardly patted her youngest's head, a gesture unfamiliar to her, yet her heart trembled. "Really? And I'll even let you choose the movie." The other 4 rushed out instantly to join in. For a moment, Kendra caught her reflection in the hallway mirror, eyes full of fear. She was scared, truly scared, afraid she would fail at this too. Afraid one movie night couldn't fix the years that had been lost. Afraid she had broken something inside her daughters that could never be mended. But when Layla looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes, Kendra knew it was time to try. She had built a billion-dollar empire from nothing. Surely she could learn how to be present for her own children. If Isaiah Williams could do it, grieving a wife, raising a child, surviving day by day, then what excuse did Kendra have to keep running? That night, they watched Frozen, probably for the 100th time in the history of that movie. Kendra's phone buzzed 17 times with urgent work messages, all of which she ignored. The girls sang along to every song, off-key and full of energy. Blankets piled high, laughter filled the living room, and when Layla curled up and drifted to sleep in her arms, Kendra suddenly realized She couldn't remember the last time she'd held one of her children, couldn't remember the last time she'd felt needed, beyond reports and numbers. "Mommy, you smell like Mommy today," Layla murmured drowsily. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "You smell like home," the little girl mumbled, then fell asleep. Kendra carried her to bed, and for the first time in 2 years, she let the tears fall freely. Not out of anger or frustration, but as the healing tears of a mother finally realizing what she had almost lost. Kendra woke up at 6:30 with a strange feeling. It took her a few seconds to recognize what it was. Hope. She reached for her phone. 52 unread emails. 15 missed calls. Her finger moved by habit, ready to open the inbox. Then stopped. Images from the night before came rushing back. Layla asleep in her arms, her daughter's laughter, and that tiny voice whispering, "Mommy smells like home." Kendra set the phone down. For the first time in 2 years, she didn't open it. Instead, she turned on her laptop and quickly typed to Renee, "Cancel my 9 o'clock meeting. And the 11 o'clock, too. Actually, cancel the entire morning. I have something more important to handle." Her finger trembled slightly as she hit send. The phone buzzed immediately. Renee was calling. Kendra looked at the screen, then did something she had never done before. She declined the call. Downstairs in the kitchen, she froze in the doorway. The scene before her was unbelievable. Her 5 daughters were having breakfast. No one was throwing food. No screaming. Amara was helping Layla cut pancakes. Zuri and Nia were chatting quietly. Brielle was drawing in her notebook instead of on the walls. "We're practicing being dragons, just like in Mr. Isaiah's story," Layla beamed. "Dragons don't throw food. Dragons protect their cave." Kendra stood still. "Is he coming back today?" Amara asked, trying to sound casual. "You didn't scare him off, did you?" The question pierced her like a thin blade. "Yes," Kendra said. "He's coming at 9 to continue cleaning." "Just cleaning?" Zuri asked, her voice tinged with hope. Kendra thought of Isaiah's words. Time is the most precious gift you can give someone. Then she thought of her perfectly packed schedule. Back-to-back meetings, 60-hour work weeks, an empire built on her absence. "Just cleaning," she confirmed, seeing their faces fall. "But maybe after dinner, we could watch a movie together." The whole family. The surprise on their faces would have been funny, if it hadn't hurt so much. Layla reacted first. She rushed forward, wrapping her little arms around Kendra's leg so tightly she almost toppled over. "Really, Mommy? You'll watch with us? No work?" Kendra awkwardly patted her youngest's head, still unused to this kind of hug. "Really? And I'll even let you pick the movie." The other 4 immediately joined in, piling into her arms. Over their heads, Kendra caught her reflection in the window. She looked frightened. And yes, she was. Afraid to fail again. Afraid that one movie night couldn't make up for 2 years of absence. Afraid she had broken something in her children that could never be repaired. But when Layla looked up at her with those wide, trusting eyes, Kendra understood. It was time to start. At exactly 9 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Kendra answered it herself, a first for her. Isaiah stood there, Zoe beside him. Both looked surprised to see her. "Mrs. Wallace, good morning. Mr. Williams, Kendra swallowed, uncharacteristically unsure of herself. "I canceled my morning meetings. I thought, maybe you could show me how you got the girls to listen to you like that?" Isaiah looked at the woman standing before him, still wearing expensive clothes, but her hair unbrushed, no makeup, and in her eyes a mix of exhaustion and vulnerability. "I don't have any magic, Mrs. Wallace," he said gently. I just listen. Really listen. Kids know when you're paying attention and when you're just waiting for them to be quiet. I don't know how to do that, Kendra admitted. I know how to negotiate billion-dollar deals, how to outmaneuver competitors, but sitting still and being present? I'm terrible at that. Then that's where we start, Isaiah said softly. Being present is a skill too. You weren't born knowing how to run a company, right? You learned. This is the same. The first week was a disaster. Kendra tried to play with her daughters but had no idea where to begin. She sat in the middle of the living room surrounded by dolls, feeling lost and ridiculous. The girls played around her as if she were part of the furniture. "Why is Mommy just sitting there?" Brielle asked loudly, not even lowering her voice. "Your mom's learning," Isaiah said calmly. "Sometimes grown-ups forget how to play." They need time to remember. Kendra picked up a doll, hesitating. Layla handed her a tiny dress. "Can you help me put this on her, Mommy?" The same fingers that had signed million-dollar contracts trembled as she tried to fasten the tiny button. Isaiah knelt beside her, smiling. "It doesn't have to be perfect. Just be there." On the third day, Kendra tried reading a bedtime story. She picked a book and began reading, in the same tone she used for board presentations. "Mom, you sound weird," Nia whispered to Zuri. Kendra stopped. She looked down at the page, and tears blurred the words. "I don't even know how to read a story to my own kids," she murmured to Isaiah, who was standing by the doorway. "What kind of mother am I?" "The kind who's trying," he said softly. "And that's the most important kind." On the fifth day, a major client threatened to cancel a contract. Gerald, the CFO, called 3 times in a row. Kendra stood by the window, looking out at the backyard. Isaiah and Zoe were playing with the girls. Amara was laughing, a real laugh, rare and pure. The phone buzzed a 4th time. Gerald again. Her fingers hovered, then stopped. She typed, "Gerald, handle it. That's why I pay you what I pay you. I trust you." Then she turned the phone off and stepped outside. For the first time in 2 years, Kendra Wallace joined her children's game. She was clumsy. She was slow. She didn't understand the rules of dragons and knights the kids were shouting about. But when Layla grabbed her hand and pulled her into the circle, Kendra saw in her daughter's eyes something she hadn't seen in so long. Pure joy. "Mommy's the mama dragon," Layla shouted. "Mama dragon protects all the baby dragons." Kendra burst out laughing, kneeling down as 5 little girls ran around her, giggling, arms wide to hug their dragon mother. Isaiah stood at the edge, smiling, his eyes full of quiet encouragement. And in that moment, for the first time since her divorce, Kendra Wallace felt like a mother. Not a perfect one. Not one with all the answers. Just a mother who was trying. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks in which Kendra Wallace relearned how to be a mother. Every morning at 9 sharp, Isaiah Williams arrived, not just to clean, but to teach. To teach Kendra how to listen, how to play, how to be present, and most importantly, how to understand each child. "Each child is a world of their own," Isaiah said one morning as the 2 of them folded laundry. "They don't need the same thing. Each one needs something different from you. Your job is to figure out what that is." Kendra began to watch, this time, to truly watch. Amara, 8 years old, the eldest who carries the world on the 10th night. Kendra found Amara in the kitchen at 11 p.m., clumsily assembling sandwiches for the next morning. "What are you doing, honey?" Amara startled, guilt in her eyes. "You forgot to buy breakfast." "I just wanted to make sure the girls have something to eat before school." Kendra's heart clenched. You're only 8, Amara. This isn't your job. If I don't do it, who will? Her voice trembled. Dad left. You're always busy. Someone has to take care of them. If I don't, they'll what, sweetheart? They'll be taken away. Like some kids at school, the ones whose parents aren't good enough. Kendra knelt and pulled her eldest into a tight hug. Listen to me. I'm sorry I let you carry things that aren't yours to carry. You're not their mother. You only need to be yourself. But what if you forget again? Then I'll learn to remember with your reminders. Not so you do my job for me, but so you tug me back when I slip. All right? Amara nodded against her mother's shoulder, and for the first time in months, she cried. Not angry tears, but the relieved tears of a child who has just been given permission to simply be a child. The next morning, Kendra woke early and made breakfast herself. It wasn't perfect, the toast a little burnt, the eggs a little dry, but it was hers. Amara came downstairs and froze at the sight of the table. You remembered, Kendra said softly. Her eldest daughter's smile outshone any business success Kendra had ever achieved. Zuri and Nia, 7 years old. The twins and their private world, Isaiah, pointed out something Kendra had never noticed. The twins had their own language. They whispered words no one else understood, laughed at stories no one else knew. They're building a world to take shelter in, Isaiah explained, because the real world hurts. When kids don't feel safe, they create a place they can control. How do I bring them back to the real world? By making the real world safer than the imaginary one. Kendra spent a whole week observing. She listened as they spoke of a place called Lumina, a kingdom ruled by twin princesses, where no one is abandoned and love never runs out. One evening, Kendra knocked on their door. Could you teach me Lumina's language? The girls looked at each other, astonished. You want to learn? I want to enter your world. If you'll let me. It took 2 weeks. Slowly but surely, Zuri and Nia began teaching their mother word by word. And when Kendra could say, I love you, in Lumina's language, both of them burst into tears and clung to her. No one has ever wanted to learn our language, Zuri whispered. Because no one matters to me the way you do, Kendra replied, this time utterly sincere. Brielle, 5 years old. The misunderstood little artist Brielle was often scolded for being messy. Isaiah gently corrected, she isn't messy, she's creating. There's a big difference. Kendra began to look more closely. The messes turned out to be elaborate art projects, a castle made of shoeboxes, a garden of colored paper, a mural painted with chocolate pudding. What are you drawing? Kendra asked, without anger for the first time. Our family, Brielle mumbled, but you're not in it because you're not here. Kendra looked at the picture. 5 little girls holding hands, and in the middle, a large empty space. The shape of an adult figure erased many times, the smudges still visible. Can I be in the picture now? Brielle's eyes lit up. Really? Really? But you have to teach me how. I'm not good at art. They spent the whole afternoon drawing together. Kendra's lines were clumsy, her colors smudged. Brielle laughed the entire time. In the end, the picture had 7 figures, 6 little girls and 1 mother, all holding hands. This is the best picture I've ever drawn, Brielle whispered, hugging her tight. Kendra hung the picture on the refrigerator, the imperfect, pudding-painted picture, and left it there, a reminder of what mattered most. Layla, 4 years old, the emotional heart. From the very beginning, Isaiah had said, she sees feelings other people can't. One early morning, Layla crawled into her mother's bed. Are you okay? I can feel that you're sad. I'm okay, sweetheart. No, you're not. Layla placed her tiny hand on Kendra's cheek. You're sad on the inside. Where you don't let anyone look. Kendra exhaled, her voice shaking. I am sad on the inside. Why? Because I'm afraid I've hurt you girls too much. Afraid you'll never forgive me, Layla thought, solemn as a 4-year-old philosopher, then hugged her tightly. Do you know how to make it stop being sad? How, baby? Hugs. Real hugs that mean it. Not halfway hugs. Hugs like this. She squeezed harder, her small body pressed fully against her mother. I can tell when someone's hug means it or not, Layla said clearly. Daddy's hugs don't mean it. Like he's thinking about someone else. But Mr. Isaiah's hugs mean it. You need to learn that kind of hug, Kendra hugged her daughter. For real. Not thinking about emails, meetings, or anything else. Just the 4-year-old in her arms. Like this? She whispered. That's right, Layla sighed with contentment. Now you understand. Week 3, the big test. That night, Layla had a nightmare. She sobbed, terrified to the point of choking. Before, Kendra would have called the nanny, but not tonight. She ran to her daughter's room, pulled Layla into her arms, and, for the first time, soothed her herself. Mommy's here. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, Layla clung to her, trembling. There's a monster in the closet. It wants to take me away. No monster can take you. I won't allow it. Really? Really? I promise. Kendra stayed all night, holding her, singing lullabies she barely remembered from her own childhood. Her voice went hoarse and off-key, but she didn't stop. When Layla finally slept peacefully, Isaiah, who had stayed late to finish cleaning the second floor, stood in the doorway. You did well, he said softly. I don't know what I'm doing. No one does. That's the secret of parenting, Isaiah smiled. We just try our best and hope love is enough. Kendra looked down at the sleeping Layla. She told me I need to learn hugs that mean it. That. Your hugs mean it. That's what Elena taught me, Isaiah replied, his eyes shaded with sorrow yet warm. She said hugs are a language. And like any language, you have to mean what you say. There's so much I don't know about being a mother. But you're learning. And your girls can see that. That's enough. Kendra looked at Isaiah in the soft, warm light. And for the first time, she truly saw him. Not as a cleaner, not only as a teacher, but as a man who had lived through an unimaginable loss and still found a way to love every day. Something shifted in Kendra's chest. Dangerous. And very possibly, something like hope. By the end of the 3rd week, Isaiah suggested something unusual. There's a beautiful oak tree in your backyard, he said. When was the last time you and the girls just sat under it? Doing nothing. Just being together. Kendra couldn't remember. That afternoon, they spread a blanket beneath the oak. Kendra, her 5 daughters, Isaiah, and Zoe, 8 people with 8 different stories, gathered under the green canopy. At first, the children ran and played as usual, their laughter echoing through the yard. But as the sun dipped lower, one by one they grew tired and returned to the blanket, curling up beside one another. Layla rested her head on Kendra's lap. Amara leaned against her shoulder. The others formed a tangled pile of limbs and warmth and love. This is what dragon families do, Zoe explained to her new sisters, her voice wise beyond her years. We huddle in the cave, where it's safe and warm. Daddy says it's our charging station. We get hugs to power up for the next day. Can our family have a charging station too? Nia asked softly. Kendra looked at Isaiah through the tangle of her daughters. He smiled and nodded. "From now on," Kendra said, her voice trembling, "every morning before school, our family will have a charging station. All of us. Okay?" "Promise?" Amara asked, still skeptical as always. "Promise." A perfect silence fell, the sound of rustling leaves, sunlight filtering through the branches, heartbeats close together. Then Amara whispered, barely audible, "Mom, I'm sorry." Kendra looked down at her eldest. "Sorry for what, sweetheart?" "For being mean. For making the nannies quit. For—" her voice cracked. "For thinking that if we were bad enough, you'd have to notice us. Even if it was angry. Notice." The other girls fell silent, listening. "I thought you didn't love us anymore," Amara continued through her tears. "I thought you regretted that Dad left us with you. I thought we were too much trouble." Kendra pulled her into her arms. Then all 5 girls burst into tears, and Kendra cried too. Even Isaiah had to raise a hand to wipe his eyes. Years of pain, fear, and loneliness spilled out on that blanket beneath the oak tree. This time, Kendra didn't try to stop it, fix it, or erase it. She just held her daughters, letting them feel whatever they needed to feel. "Listen to me," she finally whispered, her voice fierce through tears. "I love you. I love you so much it scares me. I'm sorry for being so bad at showing it. I'm sorry for making you doubt it. But I love you more than any company, any career, any amount of money. You are everything. Always have been, always will be." "Then why did you go away?" Brielle asked. "Why were you always in your office?" Isaiah, sitting nearby with Zoe in his lap, spoke softly. "May I answer that?" Kendra nodded, unsure she could trust her voice. "Sometimes," Isaiah began, "when adults are hurt, they don't know what to do with the pain. They're afraid that if they let themselves feel it, it'll swallow them whole. So they hide it, behind work, busyness, the chase for perfection. Not because they don't love their kids, but because they love so much. They don't know how to handle it." He glanced at Kendra. "After my wife died, I did the same thing. I hid behind work, telling myself I was building a future for Zoe. But really, I was running. Work was easier than pain. Clients were easier than answering a 3-year-old asking, 'Why isn't Mommy coming home?'" "What made you change?" Kendra asked softly. "Zoe started having nightmares every night, screaming for her mother. The doctor said she was processing trauma, but my emotional absence was making it worse. Zoe needed to know I wasn't going anywhere, that I was steady, present." Hers, Zoe looked up, eyes shining. "And then Daddy showed up. Every day, even when he was tired, even when he didn't know what to do." "That's right," Isaiah smiled, kissing her head. "And slowly, over many months, Zoe began to heal. And so did I." "How did you heal, Mommy?" Layla asked, her big eyes fixed on Kendra. "By doing what Mr. Isaiah did," Kendra replied. "By showing up. Every day, even when it's hard, even when I don't know where to start. Showing up is the most important thing." She took a deep breath. "And you know what? This morning I sent an email to my company. From now on, no meetings before 9 or after 3 on weekdays. No work on weekends unless it's an emergency. I've also appointed Caleb Monroe as COO to handle daily operations." The girls stared at her, speechless. "Are you quitting?" Amara whispered. "No, sweetheart. I'm reprioritizing. I hired talented people for a reason. It's time to trust them to do their jobs. And you girls, you only get one childhood. One chance to know that your mom loves you more than anything. And I won't waste it again." Amara burst into tears once more. Not angry tears, not frustrated ones, but pure tears of relief. "I thought you'd never choose us," she sobbed. "I thought the company would always matter more." "Nothing matters more than you," Kendra said firmly. "Nothing. And every day I'm going to prove it. Deal?" 5 little heads nodded furiously, clinging to her as if afraid she might disappear. The sun slowly sank. 8 people sat beneath the oak, 2 broken families learning how to be whole again. Isaiah caught Kendra's gaze through the tangle of children. Something passed between them. Understanding, respect, and perhaps, just perhaps, the beginning of something deeper. But not yet. This moment was for healing, for rebuilding, for proving to 6 little girls that they deserve to be loved, to be seen, to be chosen. The rest could wait. 2 more weeks passed. The Wallace family had changed so much they were almost unrecognizable. Breakfast had become family time. Bedtime now meant a private moment with each little girl. Weekends were sacred. No work, only connection. The board of directors questioned Kendra's new schedule, but Caleb, her trusted CFO, handled it smoothly. He proved that Isaiah had been right. Kendra had hired people competent enough to keep the company running without her hovering above them. The company continued to grow. More importantly, so did her daughters. But something else was happening quietly. Something Kendra was desperately trying to deny. She was falling in love with Isaiah Williams. It wasn't just gratitude, though she was deeply grateful. It was the way he listened when she talked about her fears, the way he made her laugh whenever she was too hard on herself, the way he looked at Zoe with pure, steady love that made Kendra long for something. Not exactly him, but to be loved that way. She realized she was watching him more than she should, noticing when he changed shirts, finding excuses to be in whichever room he happened to be in. Ridiculous. Inappropriate. Technically, she was his employer. He was her teacher. And more than that, he was still grieving Elena. But hearts don't care about logic. That Friday afternoon, while the kids played on the swings in the yard, Kendra gathered all her courage. "Isaiah," she began hesitantly, "may I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Do you ever think about, since Elena, has there been anyone? Someone you—" "Mom, M-O-M!" Layla's scream tore through the air. Kendra's heart froze. She bolted toward the swings, where Layla was pointing at Zoe, lying motionless on the grass. Isaiah reached her first, dropping to his knees. "Zoe! Zoe, baby, can you hear Daddy?" Zoe's eyes fluttered open, unfocused. "Daddy! I feel weird. Everything's spinning." "Call 911!" Isaiah shouted, his voice cracking with panic. Kendra was already dialing, her hands trembling. The girls huddled together, pale and terrified. "What's wrong with Zoe?" Nia whispered. "She's going to be okay, sweetheart," Kendra said, praying she wasn't lying. "The ambulance is on its way." It arrived 8 minutes later, 8 minutes that felt like 8 hours. Isaiah rode with Zoe. Kendra followed in her car, 5 little girls packed in the back seat, sobbing and asking questions she couldn't answer. At the hospital, they were separated. Isaiah went into the emergency room with Zoe. Kendra stayed in the waiting area, trying to calm 5 frightened children. "Is Zoe gonna die?" Layla asked through tears. "No, sweetheart. The doctors are helping her," Kendra said again, silently begging herself not to be lying. Time crawled, thick and heavy. The children eventually fell asleep on the hard chairs, but Kendra stayed awake, staring at the ER doors. Finally, at 11 p.m., Isaiah came out. He looked shattered. "She's stable," he said the moment he saw her. "They're running tests. They think it might be." His voice broke. "They think it might be what Elena had." a hereditary condition. If it is, Zoe will need treatment, maybe surgery, and it's expensive. Insurance covers part, but not enough. Kendra rose carefully, not wanting to wake the children. She took his hand. I'll cover whatever it costs. All of it. Don't think about the money. Please, Kendra, I can't. Yes, you can. You saved my family, Isaiah. Let me help save yours. She squeezed his hand. Please. Isaiah pulled her into a hug. Kendra melted into it. He smelled like the hospital, like fear, and like something that was purely him. She wanted to hold him forever, to erase his worry, to promise that everything would be okay. When they finally let go, something had shifted between them. Isaiah looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. Thank you, he whispered. But there was something else in his eyes, a shadow of guilt. And Kendra suddenly wondered, what was Isaiah Williams still hiding? 3 days later, the test results came in. Kendra sat beside Isaiah in the doctor's office, their hands intertwined, hers steadying his because someone needed to keep him anchored. It's not the same condition his mother had, said Dr. Valerie Chen. Isaiah exhaled, collapsing back in relief. But Zoe does have a congenital heart defect that will require surgery. The good news is, it's fixable. The hard part is that we need a complete family medical history, especially on the maternal side, Isaiah's face drained of color. Her mother's gone. I don't have access to her records. We need them, Dr. Chen said firmly. There are genetic factors that can directly affect surgery and recovery. Is there any way to reach the mother's family? No, Isaiah answered too quickly. There's no family. Elena, she was alone. Kendra caught the hesitation, but she didn't press. Not here. Not yet. That night, at Kendra's house, Zoe rested upstairs. The girls took turns watching over her and stroking her hair. Down in the kitchen, Kendra made coffee and gathered her courage. Isaiah, what are you hiding from me? He stared at his cup for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was so soft, it nearly vanished into the hum of the refrigerator. Elena wasn't Zoe's biological mother. Kendra's world tilted. What? We adopted Zoe when she was 3 days old. A private adoption. Elena was her mother in every way that mattered. She loved her, raised her, would have died for her. But biologically, he looked up, pain clouding his eyes. I don't know Zoe's medical history because I don't know who her birth parents are. The adoption was closed. The agency sealed everything. Can it be unsealed for medical reasons? I've been trying for 3 days. The agency keeps stalling. They talk about privacy and consent. His hand tightened around his cup. My daughter needs surgery, and I can't give the doctors what they need to keep her safe. A spark of memory flickered in Kendra's mind. A conversation from years ago, before her marriage fell apart. Darius had once mentioned that his sister used a private agency. But his sister had died before Kendra ever met her. Died giving birth, he'd said. Or maybe not. Isaiah, Kendra said slowly, her own voice strange to her ears. What's the exact date you adopted Zoe? September 15th, 6 years ago. Why? Kendra's heart went numb. September 15th, 6 years ago. The same day Darius's sister was said to have died. But what if she hadn't died? What if she had given her baby away? Which agency? She whispered. Illinois DCFS Closed Adoption Unit. Why? All the pieces locked together with terrifying clarity. I need to make a call, Kendra said, rising on legs that suddenly felt like lead. Stay here. She went into her office and pulled out a box she hadn't touched since the divorce. The box of Darius's old things, papers, photos, files. At the bottom, a memorial card. Sarah Mitchell, beloved sister, 1992 to 2018. Tucked behind it was something else. A birth certificate. A baby girl born September 15, 2018. Mother, Sarah Mitchell. Father, unknown. And a note in Darius's handwriting. Illinois DCFS handled it. Sarah wanted a closed adoption. Never tell Kendra, the world exploded. Zoe wasn't just any child. Zoe was Darius's niece, which meant she was Kendra's daughter's cousin, which meant that all along Zoe's true family had been right here. Kendra returned to the kitchen, her legs still trembling. Isaiah looked up, concerned. "Kendra, you're white as a sheet." "I think I know who Zoe's birth mother is," she whispered. "And Isaiah, this changes everything." The truth burst open in Kendra's kitchen like a dam breaking. "My ex-husband's sister. Her name was Sarah Mitchell," Kendra began, her voice trembling. She got pregnant at 25 by a man who abandoned her. Ashamed and terrified of judgment from her wealthy family, Sarah left Illinois and went to New Mexico to give birth in secret. Her voice quavered. She chose a closed adoption and made Darius promise never to tell anyone, especially not me, the woman she'd met only once at his wedding. Sarah died 3 months later, not in childbirth like Darius told me, but by suicide. The guilt of giving up her baby swallowed her whole. Isaiah stood slowly, his face paling. "What are you saying?" Darius knew about Zoe. He knew where she was, and he never said a word. "Why?" Isaiah whispered. "Why keep that a secret?" "Because Darius hid everything that mattered," Kendra said bitterly. "Maybe he thought, if I ever found out about Zoe, I'd want to find her, to get involved. And he couldn't stand anything that might crack his perfect, controlled life." She stepped closer. "Zoe is Darius's niece. That means she's my daughter's cousin. She's family, real family. And she's been right here all along." Isaiah took a step back, shaking his head. "This is insane. What are the odds? Out of every home in Chicago, I ended up in yours?" "Maybe it's not odds," Kendra said softly. "Remember how Elena used to say you should help families who were struggling? Maybe, from the start, you were led here, to us." Isaiah sank into a chair, his voice breaking. "Elena used to say that souls find each other when they need each other most. I never fully believed her until now." "Starting today," Kendra said firmly, "I can request the Mitchell family's medical history. Darius's mother keeps obsessive records, health charts going back 100 years. I'll get them. We'll save Zoe." He looked up, eyes rimmed red. "You're really doing this? For me?" "Not just for you," Kendra said gently, "because Zoe isn't just your daughter anymore. She's my family too, and family takes care of each other." The next week was a whirlwind. Kendra gathered every medical record from the Mitchell family. The doctors found exactly what they needed: a genetic marker that required a change in the surgical procedure. Without that information, the operation could have failed. Kendra paid every expense without a moment's hesitation, because Zoe was no longer just Isaiah's daughter. She was part of the Wallace family. The night before the surgery, Kendra gathered all 6 girls in the living room. "We need to tell you something very important," she began, Isaiah standing beside her. They explained gently, simply. Zoe's birth mother was connected to their family. Zoe was their cousin. They had found each other, perhaps by chance, perhaps by destiny, but now they knew the truth. Layla spoke first, her 4-year-old wisdom shining bright. "So, Zoe's our sister now? Like, forever?" "If that's what everyone wants," Kendra said softly. "I want that, Amara declared, and the rest of the little heads nodded in unison like waves. Zoe looked from her father to Kendra. "So, you're Aunt Kendra now?" "If you want me to be," Kendra said, tears already welling. "And my sisters, they're my real cousins." Zoe's eyes widened in wonder. "Really? Really?" Isaiah confirmed, his voice thick. Zoe thought for a moment, then broke into a radiant smile that seemed to light the whole room. "I always wanted a big family." Mommy Elena did too. The little crowd of girls erupted in excitement, making plans for room arrangements after Zoe's surgery, promising to stay together forever, never letting anything tear them apart again. Later, when the house finally grew quiet and the children were asleep, Kendra and Isaiah stood in the kitchen, coffee cups in hand, trying to digest the unbelievable truth of how their lives had intertwined. "So, what happens now?" Isaiah asked softly. Kendra turned to face him. "Now," she said, "we stop pretending this is just you helping my family. Now we admit that maybe, just maybe, this is about building something new together." "Kendra, I love you," she said simply, without hesitation. "I've loved you for weeks. I know it's complicated. I know you still hurt over Elena. I know we should wait, think, be reasonable. But Isaiah, life's too short and too precious to waste pretending we don't feel what we feel." Isaiah looked at her, emotion battling across his face. "Elena told me something before she died," he said quietly. "She made me promise. If I ever found someone who would love Zoe the way I do, someone who'd make our family bigger instead of trying to replace her, I had to let myself be happy. She didn't want me to be lonely forever." "And have you found that someone?" Kendra whispered. Isaiah stepped forward, cupped her face in his hands. "Yes, I've found you. And you're exactly what Elena described. You love Zoe. You make our family larger. You don't try to replace anyone. You just add love, add light." His kiss on her lips felt like coming home, as if every broken piece of their two lives had been leading them to this moment, this choice, this love that asked for nothing but honesty and presence. Zoe's surgery was scheduled, and though fear still gripped the hearts of the adults, hope bloomed stronger. Because from that moment on, they were no longer two broken families. They were becoming one whole family. Before Zoe's surgery could take place, an inevitable confrontation arrived. On Friday night, just 2 days before the operation, Darius Wallace appeared at Kendra's doorstep. He still carried the polished look of a successful businessman, tailored suit, streaks of gray at his temples, the confident smile that had once made Kendra's heart skip. Now, just looking at him made her sick. "Kendra," Darius said smoothly, as if they were still in some version of a happy marriage. "I heard about this situation." "Situation?" Her voice was ice. "You're calling your own niece, your sister's daughter, a situation?" Darius stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, as though the house still belonged to him. "I need to see the girls," he said. "They're still my daughters, Kendra. And I hear Zoe is my niece. I have a right. You have no rights at all." Isaiah appeared in the kitchen doorway, his voice low and sharp, in a way Kendra had never heard before. "You abandoned your daughters. And as for Zoe," he stepped forward, his gaze hard as steel, "you knew your niece existed. And you stayed silent." "Sarah made me promise," Darius shot back. "It wasn't my secret to tell." "Your sister killed herself because of that secret," Kendra said, each word cutting like glass. "And you still kept it, even after she was gone." "I was protecting you." Darius turned toward her, struggling to reclaim his composure. If you'd known about Zoe, you would have wanted to find her. It would have complicated everything. Complicated your perfect life, Kendra interrupted. That's what this was always about. You cared more about appearances, control, perfection. Nothing messy allowed to touch the image of the successful man you built. A sound on the staircase made all three of them freeze. Amara stood there, her four sisters clustered behind her, each face pale. "Dad?" Amara's voice trembled, a mixture of fear and fragile hope. "You came back?" Darius turned around. For the first time, Kendra saw a crack in his marble composure. "My girls, I've missed you so much." "You left us," Amara cut him off, her tone unexpectedly steady. "You chose your secretary over us." "That's complicated, Amara. Adults, sometimes. Don't." Amara stepped down the stairs, planting herself in front of her sisters. "Don't say complicated. Mom taught us love isn't complicated. Love stays, even when it's hard. You didn't." The four younger girls nodded behind her. Even little Layla, just 4 years old, looked at her father with eyes older than her age. "We don't need you anymore," Amara said, her voice breaking but resolute. "We have Mom, and we have Mr. Isaiah. He's there, every single day." Darius turned to Kendra, pain and disbelief colliding on his face. "You taught them to hate me?" "No," Kendra said quietly. "I taught them to know their worth, to know they deserve someone who chooses them, every day. Not out of guilt, not out of convenience." But every day, Isaiah gently placed a hand on Amara's shoulder. She looked up at him with complete trust. "Blood doesn't make a family, Darius," Isaiah said slowly. "I'm the one who wakes up in the middle of the night when they have nightmares. I'm the one who holds them when they cry. I'm the one who teaches them they're worthy of love no matter what. Blood doesn't make family. Love does." Darius looked around the room, the same house he once called home. There were the daughters he'd abandoned, the ex-wife who had grown strong and free, and the man who had replaced him in every way that mattered. "I just want to see my girls," he said hoarsely. "See them, see Zoe. She's my niece. I have the right." "She's my daughter," Isaiah said firmly. "I'm the one sitting by her bed when she has a fever. I'm the one who holds her when she misses her mother. I'll be the one holding her hand in the operating room, praying she makes it through. You're just blood. I'm the father." A heavy silence settled over the room. Then Darius nodded, slowly, wearily. "You're right. I'm not their father anymore. I gave up that right long ago, the day I walked away." He turned to Kendra. "But I want to try. Not to come back. I know that bridge is gone. I just want to at least be someone they can call if they ever need to." "No," Amara said clearly, her young voice unwavering. "We don't need someone we can call if we need them. We need someone who's there, whether we need them or not. And that's not you." Darius swallowed hard, his eyes red. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm sorry I wasn't the man you needed me to be." "We're sorry too," Amara said softly but firmly. When Darius finally left, the 5 girls huddled together on the sofa. Kendra and Isaiah sat beside them, forming a warm, unshakable circle. "Did we do the right thing?" Brielle asked quietly. "Telling Dad no?" "You were very brave," Kendra said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You spoke your truth. And telling the truth is never wrong." "But he's our dad," Nia whispered. "He's the man who made you," Isaiah said gently. "But being a father isn't about blood. It's about being there, choosing you every day, loving you without conditions." Layla looked up, eyes wide and shimmering. "So, Are you our dad now? Isaiah looked at Kendra. She nodded softly, tears glistening. If you want me to be, Isaiah said, his voice breaking. I'd be honored to be your dad. And Zoe's really our sister now? Zuri asked, her voice barely above a breath. She really is, Kendra confirmed, smiling through her tears. One family. All 7 of us, if that's what everyone wants. 8, Amara corrected, squeezing her mother's hand. 8 people. Mom's part of it, too. And for the first time since the divorce, Kendra felt whole. Not a perfect family. They still had scars, pain, and healing ahead. But a real family. A chosen family. A family built not on obligation, but on love. And sometimes, that's the strongest kind of family there is. On the morning of the surgery, the Chicago sky was cold and gray. In the waiting room at Lurie Children's Hospital, 8 hearts beat in unison. Zoe went into the operating room at 7 a.m. It was now 7:45. Dr. Valerie Chen had said the operation would take 4 to 6 hours. 6 hours. As long as a lifetime. Isaiah couldn't sit still. He paced, hands trembling, eyes red from a sleepless, anxious night. Kendra sat with her 5 daughters, each quiet in her own way. Amara clutched a sketchbook, the drawing of Zoe that Brielle had finished last night. Zuri and Nia whispered in Lumina, their private language, their own way of praying. Brielle held tight to the stuffed bear that Zoe had lent her. Layla sat very still, eyes closed, hands over her heart. "What are you doing, sweetie?" Kendra asked softly. "I'm sending love to Zoe," Layla replied simply. "Mr. Isaiah says love is strongest when you send it out. So I'm sending all my love to make her stronger." Kendra pulled her youngest into her arms. She didn't trust her voice to hold steady if she spoke. Isaiah stopped pacing and looked at them. His new, miraculous family. "Thank you, girls," he whispered. "Thank you for loving your sister." "Zoe is ours," Amara said with the certainty of an 8-year-old who has decided. "We're not letting her go anywhere." 8:30, 9:15, 10 o'clock. Each minute stretched into an hour. Kendra held Isaiah's hand, a silent anchor. He squeezed back, nails digging into her skin, and Kendra didn't let go. "She's going to be okay," Kendra whispered for the 100th time. "Zoe is strong. Like her dad, and like her aunt." Isaiah managed a thin smile through the tension. 11:30, lunchtime. No one felt hungry. Renee brought food, but the sandwiches sat untouched on the tray. 12:45. Isaiah started pacing again. At 1:17 p.m., the OR doors swung open. Dr. Chen came out, face tired but smiling. Isaiah rushed forward. Kendra and the children followed close behind. "She's okay," the doctor said immediately, and Isaiah nearly sagged with relief. The surgery was successful. Her heartbeat is strong and steady. We repaired the defect. Zoe will need close monitoring, but the outlook is very good. "Can I see her?" Isaiah's voice was hoarse. "Zoe's waking up. We'll move her to a room in about an hour. You can see her there." The next hour drifted by in a haze of relief. The girls laughed, hugged, some cried with happiness. Isaiah sat with his head in his hands, shoulders shaking with the quiet sobs of a man who had just walked the edge of loss. Kendra knelt in front of him and pressed her palm gently to his cheek. "She's okay, Isaiah. She's okay. I was so afraid of losing her," he whispered, "like I lost Elena. I didn't think I could survive it again. But this time, you're not alone." Isaiah looked up. His eyes were still red, but hope glimmered there. "Do you really want all of this?" he asked. "Me and Zoe, along with the memories, the pain, the shadow of another woman." "You don't come with baggage," Kendra cut in. You come with a history, with a love that once belonged to someone else, but that you've learned to share. With a wonderful daughter who's now part of my family. You come with everything I need. I love you, Isaiah said simply. I don't know when it started. Maybe that first day, when I saw you on the stairs pretending not to break. Maybe when you started trying. Maybe right here in this hospital, when you held my hand. And I realized I don't want to face anything without you. He stood, pulling her up with him. I love you, Kendra Wallace. If you'll let me, I'll spend the rest of my life proving it. You don't have to prove anything, Kendra cried, tears falling freely. You taught me how to love, how to show up, how to be strong enough to be soft. You saved my family, Isaiah. Now, let me belong to yours. They kissed. The 5 little girls clapped and cheered. Amid the smell of antiseptic and the white lights of the waiting room, it was still a perfect moment. They were taken to Zoe's room at 2:30. She looked so small in the hospital bed, wires and machines everywhere, but her eyes opened at the sound of her father's voice. Daddy? Zoe's voice was raspy. I'm here, baby. Isaiah sat close, holding her hand. It hurts, Zoe whispered. I know. But you're so brave. You're the strongest warrior I know. Zoe's gaze drifted to Kendra, and the 5 sisters clustered in the doorway. Are they here? We're here, Zoe, Layla called softly. We waited all day. Dr. Chen allowed brief visits, one at a time, each girl for 1 minute. One by one, they whispered in Zoe's ear that they missed her, that they had drawn pictures while they waited, that her room at home was ready, that families don't leave each other. When it was Amara's turn, she placed Brielle's drawing on the bedside table. This is us, Amara explained. 8 people. 1 family. You belong with us now, Zoe. Forever, Zoe smiled, tired but true. Forever. 6 months later, the Gold Coast mansion was different. Still elegant, still beautiful, but now warm like a home. Toys had taken over the living room. The refrigerator was layered with drawings. Laughter jingled down the halls. Isaiah and Zoe had moved in the month before, not as staff or guests, but as family. Kendra renovated 2 rooms into a shared space for all 6 girls to play together. They called it the Dragon's Den. Every morning, exactly as promised, they had a charging station. 10 minutes of real, tight hugs before the day began. Mercer Capital continued to grow under the tandem leadership of Kendra and Caleb Monroe. Kendra remained CEO, but a present one, leaving the office at 3 p.m., never missing a single performance, remembering that time is worth more than money. Williams' cleaning services expanded too. Isaiah hired a team and spent more time at home. Now and then, he personally took on special clients, families in whom he recognized the same exhaustion, who wanted to be seen, just as he had once seen Kendra. One March evening, Isaiah found Kendra standing in the foyer, staring at a wall display. You okay? Kendra pointed to the new exhibit, the first crystal vase, the one that had shattered months ago, now mended with gold lacquer, kintsugi. Beneath it, a brass plaque read, When the dragon shelters, the house is warm. I kept the pieces from that day, Kendra said. Back then, I didn't know why. Last week, Amara asked why I hadn't thrown them away, and I realized, because we don't throw away what once broke. We make it beautiful again. Isaiah wrapped his arms around her from behind. Like us? Like us. 2 families that once broke, mended with love upstairs, laughter bubbled. 6 little girls playing some game with lots of running and animal voices. Go see? Isaiah asked. We should, Kendra leaned into him. But give it 1 more minute. They stood there, two grown-ups who had found each other in the unlikeliest way, listening to the sound of 6 children who had learned to trust again. Not everything was perfect. Amara still tried to control too much sometimes. Zuri and Nia sometimes retreated into Lumina when real life got too loud. Brielle still made art in places she shouldn't. Layla still sometimes woke from nightmares. And Zoe, brave and beautiful, still went for regular heart checkups, still missed Elena, still sometimes feared her dad might disappear. But when the hard moments came, they had each other. And that made all the difference. 1 year later, they were married beneath the oak tree, the place where everything had changed. No spectacle, no 100 guests, just family, a few close friends, and 6 tiny bridesmaids in matching dresses, chubby cheeks lifted in grins. For their vows, they spoke as one. "I promise to show up," Kendra said, voice steady and eyes wet. "Every day, especially when it's hard. I promise to choose you and our children before anything else." "I promise to remind you when you forget," Isaiah replied, "and to love you fully. I promise this beautiful, once broken, now mended family will always be my first priority." 6 little girls applauded wildly. Layla shouted, "Now they have to kiss." And they did, amid cheers beneath the green canopy. That night, when the kids were asleep, Kendra found Isaiah in the dragon's den, standing before a new mural. Brielle had painted it. 8 dragons, some big, some small, flying across a starry sky. No flames, just wings outstretched, close together, shielding one another. Below it, in Amara's neat handwriting, "Family isn't blood. Family is who stays." Amara wrote that, Isaiah said quietly. "Yesterday, she told me I'm the best dad she's ever had. Not because I'm perfect, but because I'm here." "I'm here," Kendra said, placing her hand in his, "and that's everything." They stood in silence for a long time, understanding the hardest lessons. That love doesn't demand perfection, only presence. That family isn't the absence of breaking, but the choice to stay when things are messy. That sometimes a stranger in a Navy uniform, with calloused hands and kind eyes, can teach you more than any degree. And that real love isn't about never falling. It's about who holds your hand when you rise. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss future episodes. Tell me in the comments, what's the biggest kintsugi moment in your life? What once broke that was mended into something even more beautiful?